After the ovarian cancer, I did the 3 rounds of chemo. It was a year later, a little over a year later, that I contracted pneumonia. And so what happened was I used to make wedding cakes for people. It was like my job. I was doing a wedding cake. I had been to my niece's graduation where it was wet and rained the whole time. I got a cough. I went in, I believe, on a Wednesday with a bad cough. They did a chest x-ray. Everything looked good. Gave me some cough syrup and sent me on my way. I woke up Friday morning and I kind of had like tunnel vision. I couldn't see. My thoughts felt scrambled a little bit. I told my daughter something was wrong. She had just come home from college and I asked her to take me to an urgent care. So I went back to the urgent care and they did another chest x-ray and my lungs were full of pneumonia. The physician there said, you know, there's something wrong, more than just the pneumonia. You know, you can't go home, you need to go to the hospital. And he asked my daughter if she could drive, and she was like, no, because she was afraid if I passed out or something in the car that she wouldn't know what to do. So they called an ambulance and they took me to the hospital, and that's the last thing I remember, was being put in the ambulance. That was it. Apparently I was awake in the emergency room. I don't remember it, but what they found out was that my kidneys had already started shutting down. And they didn't know why. By that evening, I was in the ICU. I know my husband and family members have told me that they tested me for absolutely everything to try and figure out what was wrong with me, because they didn't know. They knew that I was going septic. They didn't know why. They didn't know what caused it. Swine flu was going around. They tested me for that. They tested, they grilled my husband and daughters, where had I been? What had I eaten? Could it have been something somewhere that I, contracted this? And there wasn't really anything. So I was in the ICU about 3 weeks. And it was touch and go a couple of times. It wasn't, I wasn't expected to live. If I did live, they weren't sure about brain function and things like that, because with septicemia, it causes all kinds of things. I guess I ballooned up quite large. I was glad I wasn't there for that. I was sleeping, missed it all. My sisters and my friends kept the circulation going in my hands. When they started to turn black, they would just rub my hands gently to try and keep the circulation in. But my legs ended up turning black from lack of oxygen. So when you get sick like that, all the oxygen in your body goes to your major organs to try and keep you alive, and it leaves your extremities without oxygen. So while I was asleep, my toes to the side of my heel, or the side of my foot and down to my heel, was amputated. But my husband was not comfortable making the decision to amputate my legs and me wake up with no legs. He was afraid that I would hate him, which I wouldn't, but I know that was his concern. And so when I was finally able to wake up, a specialist came in and explained to me that, I could spend months and months and months having surgery after surgery after surgery to try and save my feet and legs so that I could walk, or I could have an amputation, bilateral, both below the knee, and I could be up and walking in about 6 months. And had a wonderful blessing by our bishop, and I was coherent enough to make the decision. I really felt that I had things I needed to do, and I hate being sick, and hate being at doctors and that kind of stuff because I'd already done enough of that. I was done. So I said, let's do it. They went in for the surgery the very next day. They had a hard time saving my right leg above or below the knee. They almost thought they would have to amputate above because the tissue damage was so bad. My left leg was a little easier to, amputate before, below the knee. So I woke up and it's kind of a really weird feeling looking at the end of the bed and not seeing toes sticking up. It's kind of of course the pain was, I'd rather give birth 12 times at the same time than going through the pain of an amputation. That was not, that was pretty hard. But I think knowing that I made the decision myself made it a lot easier to take. I was able to digest things or process things better, I think, because I had made that decision. So a few months after that, I was in a wheelchair, of course, for a few months, and I was able to have my first pair of prosthetics, and to stand up for the very first time in a long time, was amazing. Of course, I went through physical therapy. I had to learn to feed myself and put my makeup on and dress myself and sit up and all those kinds of things. Because of the septicemia, I was very weak, and so I did a lot of physical therapy with that. I also did a lot of physical therapy to learn how to get around in a wheelchair, get on and off furniture, to in and out of bed, those types of things. As a bilateral amputee, I walk on my knees a lot. I probably shouldn't, but that's how I get around at home on my carpet. I have knee pads if I'm on a hard surface, so, but standing up on my prosthetics for the very first time was an amazing feeling, because I immediately felt a small measure of independence and some strength inside of me that I knew was there. And I knew I was going to be okay. It took me a while, but I knew it was going to be okay. I'm a Barbie collector. Absolutely love Barbies. My first pair of Barbies had a Barbie ponytail silhouette on the sides of my prosthetics. That was amazing. I've had several sets since then. It's been about 8 years for the amputation, and so I drive with hand controls. I work. I continued doing my wedding cakes and things for quite some time, competing in competitions and stuff. So I'm able to live a normal life, and and I tell everybody, my dad's a farm boy from Utah. He used to say, crap happens, and you can stand there and cry because it's all over your shoe, or you can wipe it on the grass and get on down the road. So I've used that as my motto to just get on down the road. I also had 3 daughters. I wanted to help them understand that, I guess I wanted to be an example of someone who didn't give up, even though life got really hard. I wanted them to know that even though you have hard things happen, even though you're disabled, even though life throws you some really hard curveballs, that you can choose every day how you're going to live your life. I did not want to leave them with memories of a cranky, bitter, angry woman. I wanted to leave them with memories of someone who could still accomplish her dreams and who could still do the things that she loved to do. I love to sew. It's kind of hard to push a pedal when you can't sew, but I put it under my thigh and I'm good to go. I wanted to make sure my daughters knew the memories that I left them with were of someone who is strong and who can handle the things that I have been dealt with in this mortal life, and you can still be happy. There's so many lessons that I've learned along the way that with or without hair, I'm still me. I'm still me in here. with or without legs, I can still do the things that I want to do and have joy in my life. And I am still Diane Holgate. I'm a wife, a mother, a sister, an aunt, a daughter, and I have goals and things that I want to do in my life. I just have to find a different way to do them. I just want to make sure that my family knows that life is short and you wake up each day with new opportunity and new choices, and you need to pick the best things, do the most important things, spend the most time you can with your family, and work as hard as you can to accomplish the things that you want to do in the amount of time that you're given. So I believe, and this is my own personal belief, that phantom pains are a physical manifestation of our spirits yearning for that physical body. Our spirits, once we leave this life, our spirits want to feel our physical bodies again. We miss it. We miss the things we could do and the things that our bodies are capable of doing when we're spirits. We don't have that physical body anymore. But I believe on resurrection morning, when I get that physical body back, I will have more of an appreciation for my body and what I have missed than I did before, or than someone who is not missing body parts. So I believe it'll be an amazing thing come resurrection morning. I will be very excited. I have a new understanding of that and the atonement. And like I said, I think your faith in a creator who loves you, who sees what is important in your life, the trials that we have are opportunities for us to become something better than we have been. We can let those trials make us angry and bitter and have a lot of self-pity and discontent and fearful and hopeless. But in the reverse, the trials that we have and the adversity that we have can make us stronger and more compassionate and more loving and more patient if we let it. So it depends on what we want to cultivate, the person we want to be. And it's hard. We're not perfect. I don't do it every day. There are days I have a really good pity-patty party. But there are days I think, I'm going to cry this morning, and then at noon I'm done. And I'm going to get dressed. I'm going to put some makeup on. I'm going to comb my hair. And I'm going to get out and I'm going to go do something. Or then there are days where I spend a really busy day and I go home and I cry in the evening. You have to have those moments because you're mourning the things and the frustrations that you have. But you also, again, like I said, I want to be the person that I think Heavenly Father wants me to be. And to do that, I have to make a conscious choice to be that way. I have to not wallow in self-pity. I have to wipe the crap off the bottom of my shoe and get on down the road, like my dad says. So that's kind of my family motto. So